Coverage of the 109th Indianapolis 500 is brought to you by Qapital. Welcome to the timeline where Robert Shwartzman and Prema Racing are on the pole position for the Indianapolis 500. The first time a rookie has qualified on the pole position here since 1983 and Teo Fabi. This was one of the most historic days in the history of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, in some ways for bad reasons. This is also the timeline where we've had a second, I guess we'll say it this way, I hope I don't ruffle too many feathers, but a second Penske cheating scandal has broken out today, and it is spreading through the paddock like wildfire. We will address that later on in this video. We want to focus on the qualifications for the Indianapolis 500 first, and then we'll get into the controversy and the drama, because there's been a lot of it surrounding the Penske team today, and it has sport-wide implications about relationships and all that good stuff. So we love talking about that. But you should subscribe, because I think we've really done a great job with our coverage of the Indianapolis 500 this year. I mean, it has been a whirlwind. It's been amazing. Thank you guys so much. It's free to subscribe, it's free to like the video, and it's free to comment, so you should do all three. It really helps me out a ton. So, Robert Shwartzman, I knew he was legit. I realized he was legit looking at the no-toe charts about 2 days in. I didn't know how legit he was, and remember, on Tuesday I was saying Prema wasn't prepared, and it didn't look like they were going to be, you know, contenders to do anything, much less qualify for the race, much less get in the Fast 12, much less get in the Fast 6, much less win the pole position with a rookie. I mean, this is one of the most incredible storylines of all time. I believe Dave First from IndyCar said this is the first time a new team has qualified on the pole position. Ironically enough, was the year after in 1984. It was the Teddy Meyer team with Tom Sneva. They actually locked the first two positions out with Tom Sneva and Howdy Holmes in 1984. Rick Mears, who was on the outside of the front row, won the race that year. Maybe that's a hint for this year. But Robert Shwartzman is, and when I got to talk to him, and we talked to him at the press conference as well, so you'll see that here in just a second, but when I talked to him, I believe it was on Wednesday morning, after that really rough day where they didn't get out on the track, I believe Shwartzman got about 6 laps or something like that in. I was so impressed by the head that this kid has on his shoulders. He is approaching this with the right attitude. He's got confidence, but he's not overconfident, and I think he just has the look of him of a driver who is suited to this racetrack. And obviously, after today and the pole position that Robert Shwartzman did, I mean, the crowd was unbelievable. This was the first time I got to stand on the other side of the pit wall for a qualification run like this for the pole. And it's one of the most magical, you know, gut-wrenching experiences you could ever have. If you can ever do it, because it just makes me shake with excitement. This race means so much, and the moments like this mean so much. And when we see stuff like this happen, and it's new, and it's something we haven't seen, you know, in my lifetime plus 10, 12 years, it's unbelievable. I wanted to talk to Robert Shwartzman because the Indianapolis 500 means so much to me, and it probably means so much to many of you people watching this race or watching this video, thinking about this race, dreaming about this race, 365 days a year. What was the first time that Robert Shwartzman thought about the Indianapolis 500?
Well, you know, my first memory was when I was in Formula One Grand Prix in Monaco. I was just as a kid, let's say, just watching the Formula One race, and at the same time, it was going the Indy 500 race. So we were like, there was my friends and, you know, sponsors, and they invited me to a yacht, like, you know, that parked at Monaco. And I was just sitting there. There was no Formula One running. It was actually after the race of Formula One, but normally Monaco is quite boring, as we know. There is not many possibilities of overtaking. So, you know, it's more quality race for me. And then we were just sitting there, and in the TV, there was Indy 500 race running there. And honestly, I was just looking, and it was so much more exciting. And I was just like, damn, until like last turn, you don't know who's going to win. Because I was like, okay, this guy is fast, he's going to win. Then it's like all of a sudden, oh, he's getting overtaken. Then another guy. So the rotations there, it's always changing. And I was just like, that's the first memory. I was like, damn, this is really interesting. This is like a proper battle. And yeah, then I obviously start hearing a lot of things about Indy, that it's another way from Formula One. Let's say if you don't go to Formula One, the best thing is to go to IndyCar. And yeah, here we are. Yeah, it happened so that unfortunately I haven't been given a chance to go to F1, even though I really tried my best. And then I was like, okay, if that's not the way to go, I'll try it here in Indy, and here we are. I think it's a good place to be in. I really like it. I really enjoy it. It's, first experience on ovals. That was just something unbelievable, especially going 240 mile an hour, which is like 385 kilometers an hour. It's just a new experience. I've never driven so fast a car. And, now sitting here, being in pole position is just, again, it's just a wow.
Have you ever had a crowd cheer for you like that?
I mean, I don't remember. It's been really, really long time since, I raced like this. I've been in an environment like this. For me, crowd is amazing here. Honestly, it's been like since the moment I felt like we were fast and people start noticing us that we're actually not too bad. We're pretty competitive. It started, picking up this level of people just like, cheering. And yeah, honestly, at the end now, when we took the pole, it's unbelievable. The roar, how loud it is. And I mean, it's been a long time since I heard that.
You mentioned you focused mainly on quali sims throughout practice. How important are these next 2 days of practice to get the race car dialed in?
For sure. For me, like I said, we spoke with Ryan, who was helping me, Ryan Briscoe. And we was like, basically Indy splits in 2 races. There is one race, it's just quali. And then there is another race, which is actual race. So for me, it's the same approach. We don't have much time, obviously, and we need to try to figure out what's the best way for the race car. How is it going to be looking like? Plus, I don't have much experience. Like, I have not experienced racing on ovals, so I don't know exactly how are the overtakes, how do you defend. So, it's something absolutely new. So I don't want to put any high expectation on myself on that point. It's obviously amazing to start first, but again, I just probably take it easy. I guess I need to just analyze and see what the others are also doing. Because, it's very easy to make a mistake here. And as I said, it can cost a lot. And I just want to make it a smooth ride. So the approach is just, we use maximum we can, the free practice we got for the race. And then hopefully it's going to be good enough to put the car in a decent position. And then we're just going to race. And, I just try to enjoy the racing with other guys.
Just like the Indy 500 isn't won in a single lap, building wealth takes strategy and the right team. With Qapital's automated savings tools, you'll navigate every turn of your money journey and race towards your goals faster. Whether you're saving for a new car, vacation, or building an emergency fund, Qapital puts money management strategies in your pocket. Download Qapital today at qapital.com/DavidLand. That's QAPITAL.com/DavidLand. And so let's take a look at the final rows of the grid for the 109th Indianapolis 500 set today in the Fast 12. The rookie, the first time since Teo Fabi qualified on the pole in 1983, Robert Schwartzman at 232.7 miles an hour will be on the pole position. What an incredible story. In the center is Takuma Sato, the 2-time winner. Last one in 2020, starting on the front row, also at 232 miles per hour. An Indy-only car, the fastest Honda in the field, and if I'm not mistaken, he's been on the same engine the entire month. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh, and by the way, he's a Rahal car. Hey, remember when we were worried about them either qualifying or not qualifying? Yeah, there's one on the front row, and with a great shot to win. Pato Award will start on the outside of the front row at 232.098 miles an hour. This is the best position Pato Award has started for the Indianapolis 500. We did get to speak to him in the press conference. He had a ton of things to say. He was a quote machine today. There's no doubt about it. Pato Award, potentially the favorite to win the Indianapolis 500 from that position. Scott Dixon on the inside of the second row. He didn't quite have the speed today. Neither did any of the Ganassi cars, in fact. Felix Rosenqvist, I think a lot of people thought he was going to be on the pole position, and he just didn't have enough for Robert Schwartzman. He was the fastest in the Fast 12 session. The speed fell off significantly to 231 miles an hour. Alex Palou, who I think a lot of people, including the NTT P1 predictor, believed that Alex Palou was going to be on the pole today. That did not happen. Alex Palou will roll off from the outside of the second row and rounds out the Fast 6, actually the slowest car in the Fast 6. David Malukas for AJ Foyt Racing at 231 miles an hour will roll off on the inside of row number 3. Christian Lundgaard for McLaren just really did a great job as a driver to find that speed at 231. And Marcus Ericsson, the 2022 champion, on the outside of 3 at 231 miles an hour. And then the story, the 3 Penske cars. Scott McLaughlin crashed today. That had nothing to do necessarily with the allegations of cheating, but Joseph Newgarden and Will Power absolutely were thrown out of qualifying. Very, very shocking situation for modifying an attenuator. We will talk about that later, but as of right now, as things stand, this is the 4th row of the grid, an all Penske lockout, the first time since 1922 that has happened, not on the front row. And of course, it is a sweep of a row for the 2nd year in a row for Team Penske, but this one is the absolute opposite of the way they swept it last year. And then it was the bump, the battle to get in the field. Marco Andretti pretty easily qualified at over 229 miles an hour. That's not really a surprise in an Andretti car. Marcus Armstrong put his backup car into the field at a strong 229. We'll talk to him later, as well as talk to Rinus VeeKay, easily the slowest car in the field at 226.9. He bumped out his teammate, Jacob Abel, who you are about to hear from very soon. I know you've kind of been vague about it, but what exactly started missing as the runs went on?
It was literally just outright speed. I mean, like, we would start our warm-up lap and, you kind of have a map that you run on the warm-up lap that makes the car go slower. And as soon as yesterday, we switched into the fast map, and starting with our warm-up lap was already like 5 miles an hour down. So we had to start switching that map way earlier just to get our warm-up lap going so that we could build up to speed. It's just weird. It's just an outright pace thing. It felt like a drag thing. We changed the gearbox last night. That didn't fix it. We looked everywhere, all the engine stuff, all that looks fine. But yeah, I think it was just it's an outright just speed and pace thing. The car feels good. We kept trimming out. It didn't feel super easy, but we were still flat each lap, was able to stay ahead of the balance enough to keep it that way. But in the end, we just didn't have any speed on the straightaway. We're 3 miles an hour down in the corners, and we're 3 miles an hour down at the end of the straightaway. It's just kind of an outright speed for the whole entire time that the tires are rolling on the ground.
I mean, you've been in the road to Indy for years. This has been the goal of every driver who comes through this ladder system. How difficult is it to get here and not make the show?
Yeah, it sucks. It's awful. Our whole season has kind of been pretty miserable so far, to be frank. We've had sort of issue after issue, week in and week out. It's been tough. I like you said, have been working my whole life to get into IndyCar, and this is what the first 6 or 7 races have been like. I remember about 12 months ago when I was sitting on this stage because I got 2 poles and won the Indy Next race here. So it's a little bit of a different scenario now. Just trying to stay mentally as positive as I can, because there's certainly some self-doubts that are trying to creep in, but yeah, just trying to stay as positive as I can.
Feeling you're in the 500. It was a hell of a story, but you got in.
I did get in. Yeah, it's been a stressful couple of days, honestly, because like what happened in yesterday's practice, it just shouldn't have happened. We had such a fast car, and I'm sad now watching the Fast 6 guys roll out, because I know that we could have been there. So in any case, we're in the show, and the boys and girls at MSR did a great job of putting that car together so quick.
You got 2 practices. Can you get this thing sorted? Can it be a front-running car again?
Yeah, absolutely it can. I mean, we've got all the data in the world and expertise to do it. We've just had literally no time to get this tub up and running. So for whatever reason, we were lacking speed today, but the race is a different thing. Like, it's the Indy 500. You can win from last, and wherever you are at any point in the race, there's a strategy to win it. So we're going to do the job. Can you describe the difference between bump day drama and the Fast 12? I mean, it's similar in format, but it's very, very different.
Well, the Fast 12 knows euphoria, because you're going for something so nice and so positive, and basically you're not taking any risks. Whatever happens, if a comet hits the Earth, you're in the race next Sunday. For the last row shootout, the problem is you have everything to lose, and unfortunately, I'm also racing my teammate. If we were racing any other team, it would have felt better if we made both cars in, because that's kind of that euphoric moment. But right now, I'm relieved myself, but I feel really bad for Jacob because he deserves to be on the grid. He's talented enough to be on the grid. It's just unfortunate that both their cars are by far the slowest.
So there's the thoughts of the drivers who were involved in that last row shootout. Certainly for Jacob Abel, you feel for him quite a bit. Especially with some of the things I'm going to talk about later in this video. He really didn't do anything wrong. The speed just wasn't there in the car, and the speed was there earlier in the week, and you feel for the kid, and you hope he comes back next year with a stronger program. I guarantee you that. But got to talk to Pato O'Ward in the press conference today, and the first thing I saw was Pato give a conciliatory handshake to Jacob. And of course, Pato O'Ward missed the show in his first attempt in the Indy 500 in 2019. And I wanted to ask Pato what sort of advice he would give to Jacob Abel living through that situation himself.
You're better off watching a race than racing in a shit car. It's miserable. 200 laps in a car that sucks. You don't want that. That's horrible. So I was actually kind of relieved when I didn't make it. So I hope he kind of feels the same, because otherwise, he's just going to be pounding around there, and it's not like he's pounding around in 100 miles an hour. We're going freaking fast, and accident can happen just in a blink of an eye. So when something's not really that comfortable, I think it's obviously a heartbreak, but I know exactly how it feels, and I'm sure we're going to see him here next year.
Your struggles with speed throughout the month of May last year were well documented. How gratifying is it to know that you finished second with a tough car last year? You're starting third this year. How would you rate your chances?
200 laps, when it's 500 miles, it's a freaking long race. Whoever looks to be winning it in the middle of the race is probably not going to win it, because things change so much for the Indy 500. But we're right there. I know how to position myself in order to have a shot. And, I really embrace this event and everything that goes with it. So I can't wait to get onto the green flag, have the best view that I've ever had starting an Indy 500. So I think there's a lot of, new and excitement that I'll be able to appreciate and experience.
And I know you couldn't hear it in the car, but the crowd perhaps gave the loudest cheer outside of Schwartzman for when you took the green flag, not even put up a speed. Talk about these fans here at the Speedway.
They're phenomenal. They make the magic that much more when you really get to experience what Indy means, and I love seeing the 5 shirts walking around, people chanting your name. It's really special. I never thought, in my career that I would be able to experience something so special. And I just think everything that has to do with the month of May, everybody embraces it. Everybody's into it. And that just gives it an extra element of just badassness. And I feel like this month, I feel like a lot of us are walking around with extensions in our pants, because it's just, man, it's so freaking gnarly. It is gnarly. It is, you have to take these cars to the edge after you've already taken it to the edge, just to find that little bit extra speed. And the feeling is unbelievable, but that feeling can also be, pretty devastating when you destroy a car that is probably the best one that you're going to have all month. So it's just, there's so many, the stakes are so high with the preparations and all that stuff. That's why people come and watch qualifying here, because I feel like specifically this year it's been badass. Yeah.
All right. So, on a day where there's so many positive headlines and so many things that I would much rather be talking about, I suppose we'll talk about the day of Team Penske. And it begins with a crash, a heavy crash in turn number 2 of Scott McLaughlin during the afternoon warm-up for the Fast 12. Destroyed the car, put a gouge in the track. Thankfully, Scott McLaughlin okay. But that car, the fastest here on the grounds since April, is destroyed, demolished. It will not race in the Indianapolis 500. Scott McLaughlin will race Joseph Newgarden's backup car in the Indianapolis 500, and at least as of right now, will start on the inside of row 4. The team chose against racing or participating in the Fast 12 today, but it didn't matter, because the other two Team Penske cars, that of the number 2 of Joseph Newgarden and the number 12 of Will Power, were disqualified. They did not pass technical inspection. Both cars were thrown out of the Fast 12. They did not have an opportunity to qualify. That was a modification to the attenuators. There was a piece on the attenuators that was glued down on both cars. Now, interestingly enough, Tim Cindric of Team Penske, president of Team Penske, told us in the garage area that that particular machine of Scott McLaughlin did not have that modification, which is certainly an interesting quote. There's no doubt about it. But the 2 and the 12 did. And those are the facts of the situation. And the facts are they will start, at least for now, in the middle and the outside of the 4th row. And I think there are a lot of people throughout this industry who are right to question all of this right now. After Barber of last year, we know tensions are high with Team Penske and what's been going on there. We know that, I believe it was Marshall Pruitt had an article from Honda and a few other partners of the series calling for IndyCar to take their officiating outside of the building, to be officiated by a completely neutral organization, kind of similar to how the FIA sanctions the Formula One World Championship, or how USAC used to sanction the Indianapolis 500, or CART would sanction. You know, you don't. There's a lot of different things that are, I guess CART wouldn't be the right example because that was a team owner run series. Throw CART out. It's kind of CART right now. Those pieces of tension are already there. But if you're Pato O'Ward, who brought it up in the bullpen, reminder, he's a Chevy driver. Pato O'Ward brought up the fact that the drivers are pretty upset, rightfully so. Penske doesn't need to do things like that, which is Pato's completely right. I would completely agree with that. Everybody knows how fast they are. Why do they need to, even if it's a small modification, it had to have meant something for drag. And I think it's the principle of the thing, and I think it's the principle of, who owns the series and who doesn't, and what team owner, and the front row sweep last year, and all of these things makes you question it. So the drivers are upset. If you're Dale Coyne Racing, you should be furious right now, because for as far as we know, until proven otherwise, there's a legal car sitting on the sidelines right now, the number 51 of Jacob Abel. And there are at least 2 cars that did not pass technical inspection, and a lot of people suspect, though again there's no facts to back this up at this time, that modification was on the cars yesterday. Now again, according to Tim Cindric, the 3 car did not have those modifications. We have to go with that quote right now as what the statement from the team is. But at the end of the day, every car except for 2 of them, and possibly 3 of them, we will never know what would have happened with that 3 car, passed tech, or there's 2 cars that failed tech and 32 other ones that passed it. And one of those cars that passed it is on the sidelines. And I brought them up already. If you're Honda and you're already upset with this series, and you're already upset with the direction and Penske's leadership and all these things, it wouldn't take a massive logical leap to assume that you would be furious about this. Rightfully so. One of your cars isn't in the field. That's a very, very difficult thing at this very difficult time, at this very difficult apex. New regulations supposedly coming soon. You have to court Honda and bring them back into the fold, and you have an issue like this. Bad look. Really bad look for the sport. My understanding, and this is pretty well sourced, is that I would not expect any major changes to the rules. I would not expect 34 cars to start this race, for example. At this time, I would not expect that the back row is going to be all Team Penske. The fact that they weren't in the last row shootout should probably indicate to you where the series stands on that. And to be fair, there's Not necessarily anything specific in the rule book for this specific situation. Something missed in tech, potentially missed in tech. It was certainly missed in tech for the number 2 car, or for the 12 car. And then they caught it on the 2 car, and then they checked the 12 car, and as it turned out, there was the failure there as well. So it got through tech today. That is a fact. This modification got through tech today. Again, if we bring that thought to the logical conclusion, it probably got through tech on other days. Probably. That's a logical explanation. Did it? We may never know. But I would not expect any changes to the order that you have seen at all. I think that this is the way it's going to be. The Penskes will sweep row 4. The race will go on. There'll be 350,000 people here on race day. We hopefully will have an exciting Indianapolis 500. But the political landscape of this series right now, really bad. So, Gutswear.com, on a lighter note, Gutswear.com, you can get your shirts, hats, t-shirts, diecast, all that good stuff over at Gutswear.com. They have a trailer here in the infield at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They bring to you our history segment for today. And it's about a lovable loser at the Indianapolis 500 and one that was very fast, appropriate for pole day, the Buick V6. For 26 years, an infamous engine held the pole speed record at Indianapolis. 2 less cylinders than its competition, yet had all the muscle. An American-made beauty, the stock block pushrod Buick V6 Turbo. Based on a production engine you could buy from your local dealer and drive home, the engine had blue-collar roots that resonated with fans. Buick had a dominant presence from its inception at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, winning several races in 1909 before the first Indy 500. Fast forward to 1984, and Buick returned to the Speedway with 2 engines placed in March chassis. The promising up-and-coming driver Scott Brayton and the middle-aged sports writer/aspiring racer Patrick Bedard. Brayton's career would be tethered to the Buick engines throughout their venture at Indy. The initial showing was nothing to write home about. Both cars qualified for the race, but neither finished. Bedard with a massive life-threatening crash, and Brayton with mechanical issues. However, on their return in 1985, their competition was put on notice. As mentioned in yesterday's video, the V6s went 1-2 in qualifying. The power was there, but the race reliability was not. Not only did the Buicks not lead a single lap, neither Carter or Brayton finished due to mechanical failures. 1986 and 1987 were lackluster, with no starts in the top 10 and not a single car finishing the race. Jim Crawford overcame the apparent unreliability in 1988 with a solid 6th place finish, and Scott Brayton equaled that result in 1989. In 1990, a third of the field was Buick powered with 11 entries, the highest finisher being 9th, with Kevin Cogan paired with a year-old Penske chassis. Stan Fox improved that in 1991, finishing 8th. Then in 1992, Roberto Guerrero qualified on the pole at a record-breaking 232.482 miles an hour, a speed average that would still be good enough for the pole shootout today. The Buicks were back on top. However, following suit with their haunting reputation, Guerrero wouldn't finish the race, let alone even take the green flag, as he spun out and crashed on the warm-up lap. A day that started with extreme disappointment for the Buicks actually ended with a happy ending, as Al Unser Sr. drove his Buick-powered Menard entry to 3rd place on the lead lap, becoming the first Buick to finish all 500 miles. Cut to 1994, and the Buick was rebranded as a Menard, reprising its role in shiny new Lola cars fielded by Team Menard. After a decent showing in 1994 with Eddie Cheever finishing 8th, they were back to the front in 1995. The distinctive, throaty-sounding V6s powered another 1-2 qualifying run, this time with Scott Brayton on the pole and Arie Luyendyk alongside. Arie managed to bring the car home 7th after a frustrating day coming up short of expectations, while teammates Lazier and Brayton struggled with issues. 1996, one last ride for the juggernaut to finish on top. Scott Brayton, Tony Stewart, Mark Dismore, and Eddie Cheever made up a strong stable of drivers with oval racing prowess. Brayton shattered the pole speed record at 233.718 miles per hour. Tony Stewart made it a second 1-2 in a row with a 233-plus average. Then, tragedy struck a few days later. A tire failure caused Brayton to lose control and hit the wall during a practice run. He would not survive his injuries. A beloved racer, gone too soon as the dark cloud of bad luck continued to haunt the valiant effort of the team. Veteran Danny Ungaius took over Brayton's ride, relegated to start last. He climbed to 7th and was the highest finisher of the team. With the advent of new rules for 1997 mandating naturally aspirated engines, 1996 would be the last ride of the legendary Quick Engines. So tomorrow, Monday practice, it's the first, the theme of Monday tomorrow is going to be answers. We're going to get answers, hopefully, to a lot of different things. The real race running begins tomorrow. And of course, as well, we're going to need to find out more answers to this situation with Team Penske. I certainly hope some sort of a more public statement is made between now and then, whether it's a press conference or something else. I think at this time in the series, we really need transparency. Amazing day here at the Speedway. Robert Shwartzman on the pole for the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.